Bring me the pretty heads!
Such an incredible shame that Norse Out of Blood launched in such a poor state, because there is a good game underneath all the problems. Concept of Norse is interesting in a way that developers wanted to create something I have been saying for a long time now, which is extra attention to kills and animations to make combat more immersive. That works especially well in a realistic setting due to the lack of visually more interesting mythical and fantasy units. So developers knew that they needed something more than just a deep tactical system, and they were correct. Overall idea to improve combat presentation to a very high level with the deep tactical system was a fantastic one. There's just so much you can do tactically in the more realistic setting, so high kill satisfaction and better hit feedback could have added an additional quality layer. Unfortunately, you broken bastards, it ended up a big mess in that regard. Seems like Norse needed a year more in development, because to fix all the issues is going to take a hell of a long time. It's not just broken and clunky animations, there's tons of bugs. UI bugs like problems with equipping gear, no cover notification whatsoever, so you never know what is a cover and what isn't, and even if someone is in cover or not, which is kinda important. Then the music disappears in some missions. One story mission is completely broken and needs a method pulled out of an arse to even get through it. In another story mission, allies stay on the other side and don't even participate in the fight. Two fighters occupying the same square. There's so many things. And the game runs like crap, but not because of framerate drops. I think at least that these are not framerate drops. It's the constant stuttering, even though framerate seems alright. Is the game unplayable? No, but the problems are going to affect your experience significantly without a doubt. Such a damn shame, because by the time everything gets fixed, which I seriously doubt it will when it comes to animations, people might forget this game even existed. That sucks, cause the game itself is very good from my experience. Played the game for about 10 to 15 hours until I dealt with Sons of the Wolves, and then the game bugged out completely, so that I couldn't even continue anymore. Considering the fact that I couldn't finish the game, this is an early review, not a full one. Just reviewing first 10 to 15 hours, so my opinion is subject to change. Speaking of execution animations, there's a bit of problem here too. When there's 2-3 executions per weapon, it tends to get dull fast, unfortunately. Good example would be modern Mortal Kombat. Fatalities are incredible, but after you've seen them all for 10 times, the magic is over. So what NetherRealm did brilliantly is introduce brutalities that happen in the flow of the game, and for me at least those never got dull. Quick, effective and in the flow of the game. Longer executions are simply not needed, unless developers plan on having 100 different ones for each weapon. In that case, fuck yeah, but that's not gonna happen. Instead, keeping it simple, effective, quick and in the flow of the game is the solution for executions to always remain effective visually. Look at simple arrow kill. The way enemies fall with an arrow in the chest is awesome. It never got dull for me seeing that. Proper hit impact accompanied by a good fall. If I recall correctly, War Tales has simple and quick kill animations, simple stabs and slashes in the flow of combat. Never got dull for me. More variety would be nice, but when it's so simple it doesn't become as dull as quickly. Enough about that, let's talk about what Norse Out of Blood even is. XCOM Vikings with a touch of War Tales. There is a village management system that works similarly to XCOM. We have story missions with a deadline that pushes players to make tough decisions on what to build. This type of a system is always going to work in every game built around it, because of how significant each upgrade is due to time constraints. Just depends on how balanced and polished it is. I can't speak for that at the moment, because to be able to assess that I would have to finish the game. I wasn't really paying attention to what was being built for a long time until the village started to run out of food. Then I had to scramble fast. Thankfully it was doable. I wasn't locked in starvation without a way out. Even though low on resources due to lower resource production rate since people were starving, the game offers a trading option that is nicely done. In my playthrough there's only a few villages I can contact at the moment, with each having a resource or two to trade with a couple weapon and armor pieces. Trade system works in a way that something is always in demand, depending on the village. For example, if a village has axes in demand, we can craft basic axes and trade it for something that would be beneficial to us. Trade system is a savior for the situations where things happen and we can't do much. Example is that sometimes during the story a curse befalls the village, which limits the production significantly. Another thing that can happen is if we miss out on a ritual. I ignored the ritual cause I didn't see much point in it. Needed to focus on producing more food to deal with starvation at the time. Then the ritual option disappeared, which led to another production debuff. With 2 production debuffs, empty turns became a reality. And you know what happens when you start falling behind in an XCOM style game. Well, to be honest, I don't know yet how significant these mistakes I made are going to matter in the long run. That's why I said that I need to finish the game first to assess it properly. In the meantime, we go on missions to get more resources and progress the story. We don't go on missions as often as you'd think, which to me seems like an oversight. In XCOM, there are tough decisions to be made about the missions too, whether we even want to go on one and which one to pick. There's a whole system there based around it. Unfortunately, so far from what I've seen, Norse is bare bones in mission design. It's just story missions so far. Not a single side mission popped up. Maybe that changes later. Maybe I'm still in the beginning stages of the playthrough as everything opens up later. Would be cool if that's the case. Missions have a variety in what kind of encounters we are dealing with. Sometimes there's gonna be ambushes where we have to scramble to survive, with enemies being in our face at the start of the fight. Sometimes the battlefield is much larger and there's few sets of enemies we have to take care of, one after the other. So far, in my opinion, the best mission from the ones that I've played is unfortunately the broken one. Reason why I consider it the best is that suddenly there was this big battlefield with a small river dividing the field. Enemies are on both sides. If not broken, this would have been a very interesting fight with plenty of space and options on how to deal with it. Norse mixes encounters to challenge players in a different way. There's not that many encounter setups. I think there's only 3 types from what I've seen, but the way Battlefield affects it adds to the variety. On the battlefield we can interact with dropped weapons from killed enemies, barrels of spears, rocks. Then there's different kinds of surfaces that debuff and interact with some of the abilities. Enemies in mud can be pushed by shield bash into prone position, which leads to their turn being forfeited. Also, mud lowers reflex stat, and reflex stat affects dodge capability. There's quite a few interactions with the battlefield next to enemy interactions, like pushing enemies into obstacles or into each other, which can trigger debuffs and additional actions. Player abilities are as usual tied to the class and class upgrades next to general ones. It's mostly classic stuff like Guard, Overwatch, with special class abilities like Area of Effect attacks, protection of adjacent allies, passive that triggers bonus attacks of opportunity, cripple that immobilizes enemies, a leap that helps with mobility, grab attacks with repeatable mechanic that I still don't quite understand with half-broken animations, and so on. Combat is deep, lots of options to play around with. Even more disappointing that then everything plays out in such a broken way presentation-wise. Unfortunately, difficulty is also a bit of a problem. For tactical games it is important to have balanced but tough difficulty to force players to utilize game systems to the maximum, because that's when such games become extremely interesting. Again, XCOM being a great example in which the player is pushed to the brink often, but somehow there's always a way to get out of it. Unfortunately, Norse is too easy, even on hard. Lost only 1 companion so far in an interesting boss fight, but mostly because I wasn't paying attention due to talking to chat on stream. Fight itself was challenging in a tactical way due to the boss's abilities, and it was a nice change of pace. Had to snap out of talking with the chat and focus on the fight instead. Managed to get through it, but lost a companion. Fair enough. This is the only instance where it was close. The execution mechanic, although an interesting idea, leads to too many easy fights because whenever we execute an enemy, all action points are restored. I had so many instances where Archer could take out 3 or even more enemies at once. same as Arn with two-handed axe going around murdering everything in sight. And all of that without me paying attention at all to the build system. If the state of the game doesn't persuade you to skip the game for now, low difficulty might do that then. Overall, combat system is great, but unfortunately the presentation is utterly broken and the difficulty is not balanced to make it more interesting.
I fear no man.
And now we get to writing. Story and characters. This is probably why the state of the game pisses me off the most, because developers have done a great job. They put a lot of effort into characters that are amazing. My favorite being Holty. Such a great comic relief character.
I'm joking! Don't piss your trues. Who are these raiders you speak of?
They come often. Brigands with wild eyes and hungry bellies. They butcher our animals, steal our bread and ale. I thank Freya they have not yet taken me.
Maybe next time.
Every single character is unique and so well written and voiced. Story, although simple, is meaningful due to the way it is presented. It's a betrayal and revenge story where we need to establish ourselves in order to exact revenge with Uncle's help, who is a Jarl in another village.
It could be good to have these strong warriors here to protect us.
Yes, it's simple, but scenes are well done and due to characters being well written, I was glued to the screen for almost every story event. Developers also conveyed well how superstition played a factor in that age. When Sons of the Wolf leader put up some kind of a pole that indicates a curse, village production got a debuff. People believed that stuff back in the day to the point of affecting their lives significantly. Even today people believe a lot of things, so that hasn't changed that much, I guess. It's just in different form.
He's dead. Search him for Silver. He smells bad. He must be dead.
I'm not dead! But you will be if you poke me again! Little arse trolls!
Another thing to mention before ending the video is the incredible music. Proper Viking style music that has the power to hype up the player.
Kill them! What is your will?
Time for this early review summary. Norse Oath of Blood is an example of a good, maybe even a great game launched way too early. Developers are facing an uphill battle of fixing this gigantic mess. Ideas were great, lots of effort is put into things that are usually a bit overlooked, like story and characters. Lots of good mechanics, deep combat system. Unfortunately, it's a game I need to warn people not to buy due to the current state. It just sucks. I love a good underdog story and this game could have been it. Anyway, Patreon, subscribe to our merch in the description. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more stuff, but not from Norse Oath of Blood. I might revisit the game in the year to see what's up. Have a good day.